Hello, everyone, and I'm really glad that you are joining us today. My name is Paul Adepoju, and I'm the community manager for the ICFJ Pamela Howard Forum on Global Crisis Reporting. And if you don't know by now, this is an initiative that started at the outset of the COVID-19 pandemic, and our goal was initially aimed at helping journalists in different parts of the world to improve and expand their ability to report on these highly important and still relevant in the present day global health crisis. But with the avalanche of several other crises, the initiative has expanded its net towards being able to focus on more crises in the environment, financial crises, and several other crises. And while doing that, we're also making efforts that are geared towards empowering and enabling journalists across the world to improve their skills and advance in their careers. And one of the ways that we think, that I personally think this can be achieved, is to open and improve access that journalists have to new information, to connections, to interactions, and to new tools and initiatives. Yes, the internet is an expansive tool that is available to everybody. You can get a lot of information online, and many of the things that we'll be sharing today are also stuff that we got online, but interpersonal interactions too are really, really important. And one of the ways where you can get this would be conferences. And without mincing words, conferences have been around for generations. They are still here. And in spite of the threat that the COVID pandemic brought to in-person meetings, conferences would always be here. They can evolve, as you are going to see in today's presentation, to hybrid format, fully online format, and in-person format. So you as journalists, what do you need to know about conferences? I know some journalists will be always interested in attending conferences for one reason or another. But if you've been struggling to be able to attend conferences in one way or the other, or you're attending conferences and you're not getting the best out of your conference experience, this session is for you. As this session is holding in the same week that the World Health Assembly is holding in Geneva, Switzerland, and lots of stories journalists are covering this important event. I'm also covering this important event, as you've seen some examples that I'm going to make. And so I'm going to, by the end of the day, you should have gotten a lot of information on how to improve your conference experience, how to attend conferences, and some pitfalls so that you can potentially avoid, so that you can actually accelerate your growth in your conference experience. So wherever you are joining us from, I'm always interested in knowing where you're joining us from. So if you can interact with us, if you can engage and tell us where you're joining us from, and it really guide me if I can know where you're joining us from, and for instance, I can give you specific examples of something that is happening very close to you that you may be able to partake of. And if you are having questions, do not wait until the end of this interactive session. Do not wait until the end of my presentation before you share your questions. You can as well start engaging us via the Q&A platform tool on the Zoom platform. If you are watching this live stream on Facebook, you can use the chat box under the live stream video that you are watching. So I'm going to start my presentation. It's not a full presentation, it's something I will use to guide me because we are going to be doing a lot of live demonstrations. So allow me to share my screen. So conferences for journalists and what you need to know. So, like I said in my opening monologue, it's really, really important for you to know what conferences are. And in this context, I'll be talking about conferences in two broad lines. There are On one hand, we have conferences that would help you to have access to stories on topical issues. For instance, if you are somebody that is covering climate change and you will be interested in climate change conferences. Last year was COP26. This year, the next COP will be COP27. So if you are somebody that is interested in climate change, that COP27 will be of interest to you, or any other leading environment event. If your home beat is health, and depending on health journalists usually cover a wide spectrum of stories. But specifically, if you're interested in, if you are covering HIV, somebody like you will be interested in top HIV conferences. In July 8th, 2022 will be happening in Montreal in Canada. So if you want to write stories on HIV, it will really, really be good. And if you want for you to be interested in conferences like that, if you are interested in business, if you cover business, if you are covering politics, if you are covering environment, if you are covering education, if you are covering any bit, you should be able to attend conferences that are specifically on issues that you cover. And why is this really, really important? The reason why this is important is because at conferences, you are expected to interact with many people. You are expected to interact with key stakeholders in that ecosystem. You are expected to people are expected to bring you and bombard information, provide lots of information about that topical issue that you are covering. You're expected to know the current state of things. You're expected to know where the ecosystem is going, how the stakeholders are thinking. And this is really, really good for a story because speakers there are more easy to act. It's easier for you to interact with people. It's easier for you to have exclusive stories. It is easier for you to also expand your network of sources. And even when you can also easily get exclusive tips on what you are supposed to do, what you are not supposed, what exclusive information. And by directly engaging people there, you're also expected to know what's the true state of things and the peculiar problem that they are struggling with. And that is something that I think it's really, really important. It's really, really the reason why we are supposed to go to the conferences. And on the other side of the spectrum, we also have some conferences that are tailored focus for journalists. Media conferences. We have different different journalism associations, different societies. For instance, the ICFJ also has its own various events. For instance, there is a tribute to journalists that is holding this year in November, and other journalism societies also have that. There are newsroom conferences that is an ecosystem that is a melting point for journalists from different parts of the world. So when you do that, it's really good for you. You can leverage those kinds of meetings to meet editors, to interact. For instance, one of the things that I've come to realize that if you are a health journalist, and there is a conference for health journalists in any part of the world, and you are able to attend, ideally, you are not just expected to go there and be taking pictures. You're expected to actually go there, mingle with top editors there, even pitch. If you're a freelancer like me, I don't take those kinds of opportunities lightly. So I meet editors, I interact with them, and in some cases, I'm actually able to leave some conferences with new jobs. And that is a good career advancement strategy for you as a journalist. So personally for me, I've been able to do both. And you learn new skills, and you're also able to network with people. As a freelancer, one of the platforms that I freelance for is DevX. And why is this example important? And my journey, I didn't join DevX because I saw a job vacancy announcement. No, what happened was that I attended a conference in Rwanda, and after walking to the venue, I saw a small session a side event was holding, and it was facilitated by DevX. So I attended. I have always known DevX for a while, so I was really interested. I told myself, well, I need to meet somebody from this establishment and see if there are opportunities. So that happened, I think, in 2018. And I was able to meet somebody, and I officially started writing for DevX in 2019. And between 2019 and now, if I've not written more than 20 stories for DevX, it will be very close to it. And it all started by me attending a conference, by talking to somebody at the establishment and striking a partnership. On the other hand, too, before I used to only write stories. But because I attended a training that was translated by the World Federation of Science Journalists in the UK, I was able to acquire really good multimedia skills that enables me to take better pictures, edit videos, shoot videos, and put up really good multimedia production and tools that I'm also teaching others. So it's always important for you to move out of your comfort zone so that it's really you're able to acquire new skills, meet new people, improve your self as a journalist. So those are the reasons why. Those are some of the reasons why I think we have to be attending conferences. So so online or in person, it depends on you, because like I said, we have the World Federation, we have the World Assembly that is happening right now. And if you really want to, personally for me, I've come to now appreciate or prefer online conferences more than before. I'm going to show you two examples, two instances that will show you that it's not really about where this is happening, but it's all about your ability to cover and to adapt to the situation. So when you look at, obviously, the World Assembly, I'm in my home here talking to you, but this World Assembly, this was a story that I wrote for the World Assembly for DevX, and I think it was actually published today. And I'm no longer in Geneva. I'm back home, and but this story can be easily written by anybody from any part of the world that is able to do it. So how are you able to do that? One of the things that you are supposed to do is you are able to, when you are doing an online coverage of conferences, when you are covering an online, the first thing you are supposed to do is to be able to actively engage with the interface. When you go to most online conferences have platforms for live streaming, where they are streaming the videos. And so because of this, and many of these streaming services are actually recorded too. So which means even if something important was discussed in one of the sessions that you were not able to catch in real time, because it's a recorded version, it's a recorded proceeding, you can easily go back to that page and check it out and catch up with whatever you want to do. And so that is a benefit. That is an advantage of online sessions. But for in-person, on the other hand, in the case of in-person conferences, on the other hand, if you missed a session, that is it, except you asked somebody that attended and the person tells you or gives you some information, but may not be entirely accurate. So what am I trying to say? So that is an advantage that I think online events provide for journalists. And it's something that has really made journalism much easier. You can hear everything verbatim, you can know what everybody's saying, and in real time, you can get all your facts right, and you're able to attend multiple sessions at the same time. As we are talking now, even though I'm presenting and I'm interested in and I'm also interested in what is happening in the World Health Assembly, this is what it looks like on my interface. So we have the live panel here, committee B. We have the plenary sessions here. So if you look at this plenary area, I can easily go to any of these events. I think the WHO's DG was re-elected. You can easily navigate get the tape of his speech. You can the various proceedings in the different committee rooms. You can easily see there is a live session that is going. So you can actually, you have access to everything that is being discussed in every room. And this is an advantage that I think almost any journalist would really appreciate. So as far as my own personal journalism experience is concerned, I think for you to be able to push out stories, online conferences are really good. And I think some people may disagree with me. But on the other hand, something is missing, because if you are doing online, apart from the additional work you'll be doing, engaging with others virtually, you may not be able to get that really personal flavor to your story. And this is where I'm going to share a different story that I wrote for the Lancet. And this is a quick background. I think this was in 2019. So let's say in 2019, I was invited to a conference in Senegal, and I was talking to different scientists that were carrying out researches on different topical issues in person. We scheduled it, we were interacting with one another. They were telling me what they were doing. And I saw a familiar trend that anytime I spoke to female scientists, they were always telling me about their personal challenges, how being a scientist affected their careers. And so by the time I spoke to like 3 scientists, and I saw a familiar trend. The male scientists didn't mention any problem. They were happy with their careers. They were actually happy that they can spend 2 days non-stop in the laboratory working on it, while the female scientists were telling me about the particular problems that they had, having to raise kids, prepare for the family. So instead of talking about individual person's solution, because I was there to engage with them directly, my story changed. And it became something that was focused on female scientists. And because I was there, I was able to actually interact with them. I actually took the pictures of the scientists. If you look very well, you can see the cable of my mic that she had on her that I was using. And so it's something that I might not have been able to catch if this was not done in person. But like I always say, whatever situation you find yourself as a journalist, you just have to make the best of that situation. So whether it's online, whether it's offline, you can always write top quality stories. But it doesn't mean that what I described cannot be done online, cannot be achieved online. If you want to do that online, you have to structure your interviews. You have to be intentional about about the types of questions that you ask. You also have to approach those kinds of interviews open-mindedly, such that you're able to absorb and expose yourself to as much aspect of the person you are interviewing as possible. So whichever way you are dealt with, you should be able to make the best of the situation. So for me, if you are attending an in-person conference, one of the mistakes that I used to make was that I was always interested in covering everything. What do I mean by covering everything? Anything that anybody says, I would like to note it. I would like to record it. I would like to ensure that I have all the information. And so today, there are some very long sessions that I attended, that I recorded, that I don't think I will ever get back to that tape. I've had to even delete some of them. Imagine recording a 1 hour long sessions, and you have to actually produce stories in real time. And in large events, in large in-person conferences, that you cannot actually, you have to be jumping from one room to another. It can always be chaotic. And it happened to me a few weeks ago when I was in Geneva for the Geneva Health Summit. And having been used to in-person, online conferences for a long period of time, and I had to now go back to in person. I relied on the directory. There was a session that I was interested in, and they told me that no, and I was told that they had already changed the venue. So I had to now start asking around, where is this session holding? How am I going to access it? I couldn't get to that particular session that I was interested in. But if I had been online, I would have just easily navigated my way to the online platform. And so that is one of the chaotic situations that you can find yourself. So these are some tips that I think I will be able to share. I want to share with you. I know I will get to how you get it by how you get access to these conferences, but this is really, really important. So one of the lessons that you should have learned by now is you don't have to transcribe the entire conference. Because if you transcribe it, the best you can do, if you want to write story on that, is for you to be telling people what is happening at every time, as if you are. I call it, you are not, except you are running a commentary. If it's a game, a sports commentary, that you are giving a step-by-step action of what is happening. As a really good journalist, you are not supposed to be doing that. And then you don't have to race from one room to another because you really want to be everywhere. No, it's always when you attend conferences, you always see journalists that are trying to jump from one room to another. Instead of doing this, something that I think is really, really relevant is for you to pay attention to key and repeating themes. What are people consistently saying? Like I mentioned in the story that I showed you of those female scientists, they kept repeating it that we are having this problem. When you are seeing a theme that is being repeated and is spoken by 3 to 4 or more persons, then you know there's a problem. Then you know that is something you have to keep your focus on. And you have to be present. You don't have to just be like, okay, what are they saying? I'll just write it and go. You have to actually be physically present. You have to be interested in what is happening at that forum. Another point that I think is always important for you is that you have to prepare your work ahead of time. You have to know the kinds of stories that you want to write. You have to know what the interest would be. And you have to take notes too, generally, regarding the atmosphere in the whole room, so that you are, even when people are not saying, if you know, when people go on stage, most of the times they are speaking in official capacity, but you can actually gauge from the tone of the room of the event regarding what you are doing about the issue. And one of the things that I think is also really, really important is that you have to actually participate. You have to be there in the room. You have to you are not there to just watch. You are not the security. You are not the food vendor. You are attending a conference, so you actually have to participate. And because sometimes as journalists, one of my personal experiences was that you have to be actively there. If you want to speak to people, if you want to really get direct answers that will be helpful in the kinds of stories that you're writing, anybody can collect the mic in the hall. Anybody can actually ask questions. So when people are when you're in that capacity, you just have to really ask yourself the question: are you going to waste this opportunity, or are you going to just attempt to report on what people are saying? So you have to be there. You have to be an active participant. That was in any session that I attend, and I'm trying to write a story, and the people on the podium are talking. Sometimes it's your opportunity to actually engage and ask questions directly that you will use for your story. Because if you decide to wait to the end of the session, already those VIPs, those guests, those speakers may not have time for side networking. They are off to where they are going, and you've already missed your chance to really get what you are trying to do. So it's not a big deal for you to just say you want to ask questions. And it's something I did even at the last that I did at Geneva Health Forum repeatedly, and it's something that enriches my story. So this was me at the conference, and so as people are raising their hands, I also raised my hand, and I had my question, and I got the response. I got the response that I was interested in, and the question that I asked was not something that got to me at the spur of the moment. It was something that was already part of. I'd already prepared it going into that session, because there's a story that I want to write. And right on the podium, we had somebody from the Red Cross, we had somebody from top organizations that if I send mails that I want to engage them and ask questions, they may take, my opportunity may be buried in a whole lot of PR routes that I will not be able to do. But when they're on the stage, when they are the ones talking, they have no other reason not to answer you. So it's a trick that you should always do. You have your tag as a participant, and you can easily ask anybody any question. So, so please endeavor to actively participate wherever you find yourself, and also mingle and introduce yourself. You should. People need to be aware of. Don't be shy. For me to get to that stage, if I tell some people that I used to be very, very shy and introverted, and when I go to events, I used to just stand on my own and not engage. But realizing that for you to get the best experience, for you to really write accurate and true stories, you just have to be out there. Don't be shy. Meet people. People are always willing to talk. People are always willing to collect cards, interact, introduce yourself, and mingle with people. Another thing that I always recommend is this. Every event organizer wants active engagement now for the event on social media. So ensure that you are active on social media. And why is this important? Sometimes if you are confused about something, you don't know what is happening. I know people that actually gain a lot of followers on social media by attending events. If a topical issue is happening, you always see some journalists that will be live tweeting those kinds of sessions, because and now everybody attending those kinds of conferences will see them as an authoritative source of information arising from that conference. People get to know you, you build your followership, and even in official capacity, organizers of that event will be aware of you, such that when you mention your name or you need any information, people know who you are. So activity on social media is also really, really important. And in the present day conference registration, some of them do allow you to connect with people ahead of time. When you know somebody will be attending an event, or when you know a major speaker will be covering an event, you can easily reach out ahead of that conference to that person's team. That, okay, I know you'll be attending this conference. Please, can I talk to you for a moment at the interview, at the session? You're already booked in that to speak. And sometimes it's also advised that you use offline platforms for notes. And I always, anytime I go to a conference, my jotter like this is always with me, because that is how I quickly write what is important. But you know what happens, so that I don't really rely on web-based tools in case the internet is struggling. And Power Outlet is something that is always good, so that if you need to write story from the event, your computer is not strong enough, at least be plugged to a Power Outlet that you can use. Also be brave. You have to be very, very confident, because you are trying to get information from somebody. If you are not sure of yourself, if you are not extremely confident, you may not be able to get top quality comments for a story. Then also be open to chance encounters. Don't think you figured everything out. Always be open-minded about whatever you are going to, about your experience, and also get the best seat. The best seat is always important. If you want to take, if you really want to take, for instance, if you want to take pictures, for me, it's always important for me to take pictures of anything if I attend any conference, because not just because of the fact that I always like pictures that will be used with my story to complement, to actually enhance the story itself, such that I will not be reporting from the World Health Assembly on an issue regarding the WHO. And this picture that will be used to accompany my story will be something of the WHO, but was taken like 3 years ago, stock photos. So I don't really like being in that kind of situation. So, but for you to be able to take good pictures, it's always really, really important for you to find a very good seat. And still talking of pictures, one thing that I discovered in passing, I didn't actually mean set out to be taking pictures, was the fact that if you're able to attend high-level conferences as a journalist, you actually have the opportunity to still make some money out of your pictures. So last year I was at COP26 and I went with my camera, and okay, let me share my screen so that you understand what I'm trying to say. So I was able to I took a lot of photos, and I created my Shutterstock account. So as you can see these pictures, I was writing my story, but because I had a camera on me, everybody expected this would happen. So I was just taking pictures, and I think I've already sold more than these pictures have been bought more than 300 times. So if you are a journalist and you have access to a camera and you are able to attend top quality conferences like this, it's really, really good for you to actually put your name out there. And instead of playing with pictures alone, you can actually have your pictures sold on platforms like this. Even to yesterday, somebody still bought some of my COP26 pictures from Shutterstock. So it's something, is an additional way to actually expand your offering as a journalist. And even if you are using the digital, something you don't have to use a digital camera. The lighting and some of these things are always really good enough for a top quality camera phone. So please is the side additional revenue generation for journalists, especially if it's a major conference that you are able to attend. So, and before I leave on those tips, I still have some more that I think is important. Like I said, choose the event wisely too. You have to be strategic about the event that you'll be attending. When you attend a conference, I think at COP26, probably they had more than 100 sessions, different sessions. So it's not humanly possible for you to be everywhere. So the best thing for you to do is to actually be strategic about where you go to, which of the events are you going to attend, and how are you going to write your story. The only times in my head, I always have an idea of the kind of story I will be able to write from a particular session. And if you are really, really good at being able to figure out how you are going to write your story, that will then guide the kinds of stuff that you do. I think it's really, really important for you to be able, you will now graduate to the point where you can actually make sense of any session that you find yourself in. What am I trying to say? Going back to my Geneva experience, I initially wanted to attend a session, but because they changed the venue, I couldn't find it. I found myself going into another room. And they were having this conversation. That was totally unrelated to what I initially had in mind for my session. So what did I do? I just decided to be there and ask questions that would drive that conversation to suit the kinds of stories that I want to write. Like I said, anybody can collect the mic when you attend conferences. So one last tip about how to cover before we go to other aspects of conferences is that you have to really, really take care of yourself. And this is something somebody like me is always guilty about. You have to really, really take care of yourself. You have to prioritize your health. Because as I'm attending conferences, I'm also writing stories. I rarely get enough sleep. And if it's a foreign country and I have a limited number of food that I can eat. I also don't eat well. So you see, and many journalists are in the same vein, but you need good health for you to be really, really effective as a journalist. So don't overwork yourself. Don't overstress yourself. Prioritize your health such that you are able to effectively function at that conference. So the next question issue that I would like to mention, cover has to do with scholarships, fellowships, and travel grants. These are the different names through which sponsorships for you to attend conferences are presented. Some conferences will provide, so if you want to ask questions, please use the Q&A tool, and I'll get back to you after putting your questions there. So some conferences will provide scholarships, some will provide fellowships, and some will provide travel grants. And they are in different categories. We have some scholarships or some offerings that will cater for all of your expenses, and you will still be able to get daily remunerations, stipends from them. So there are some of them are, those are really, really the ideal scholarships that many journalists desire. So something that covers all the flights, the visa, the accommodation, the living expense, and they will still be able to get something in return. So those ones are the ideal ones. And because it's the ideal one, it simply means it will be extremely competitive. It's going to be extremely competitive, and you have to, for you to be able to get some of them, you have to really, really be unique. You have to stand yourself out, and you have to ensure that you are up and doing, and you structure the application properly. And unfortunately, even though some of these scholarships and funding opportunity, conference attending opportunities are meant to encourage some journalists from that are in peculiarly harsh conditions to be able to attend some of this conference. My experience showed that in some cases, these opportunities are often given to journalists that are working with top media outlets. So you have to be strategic. And something I've come to realize is that the number of applications and the interest of many journalists reduces as the number of coverages that these opportunities provide reduce. So for instance, more people will apply for full scholarships than the number of those that would apply for something that will only cover their travel. And as the offerings reduce, the number of interest reduces. And that's why you as a person, you should be frank with yourself and tell yourself, okay, if I cannot get this, okay, I can still work with this. So it's not just, you may not have all of your expenses footed by these opportunities, but at least ask yourself the question, what do I really, really need for me to be able to attend this opportunity? And a good example, and so another important information that you have to know is that you should be aware of deadlines. When is the application going to resume? When will it start? And when will it close? So don't wait until the day that the deadline will close that you will now start rushing to put your CV together, to put the cover letter together, to do things appropriately. As much as possible, endeavor to submit ahead of time. And there is one example that I would like to show you. And there's one example that I would like to show you. In July, there will be the HATE 2022 conference that I mentioned. That will be happening in Canada. And if you're aware of its conference, what is conferences like this, every year they always have, I think I should be sharing my screen so that you'll be able to see how I'm getting to that page. Every year they always have media grants, travel grants for journalists. So I searched for a 2022 conference. So this is it. As you can see, this is the 24th edition. So because it's an annual event, and people are already aware that every year they offer scholarships. So it's really, really important for you to know where where you are going to look forward to. So so you look at the registration already. The scholarship. Can you see the scholarship registration has already closed? I think they've already contacted those that will be considered for that would have won the scholarship. But like I said, it's something that you have to. Sometimes you just have to go if you can't easily find it. Most websites have search box that you can just quickly search for their scholarship opportunities. And so can you see, if you look at the scholarships, so what I'm trying to say is that even though the conference starts in July 29th, the scholarship applications, they've already closed. So if you're interested in attending a conference and you need support to be able to attend, it's important for you to be aware of the deadline. You have to be aware of the deadline so that you can quickly prepare your application. You can put it together. You can do it as you're supposed to do it. And you can actually have fun and be ready. If somebody had applied for this, the scholarship would have covered the registration costs, travel, economy, flight, accommodation, and the person will always also get daily allowance if you are there. But you cannot wait until the last day. So any conference that you are trying to attend that would require scholarship for you to attend, you have to endeavor to be aware of the deadline. So that is how it is, and it's the same for everywhere. And I always say you also have to apply very early because anything can happen. I think most entries for most of these opportunities are usually received on the last day. On the last day of the application, that is when I believe most of these entries and submissions do come in. So, but for you to really show them that you are really, really serious about attending, be aware of the deadline and apply ahead of time so that you can put all your documents together. Another thing that I actually think you should do is that always endeavor you answer all the questions the way they want you to. Many people already have a standard thing that they are submitting, standard CV, standard cover letter. Sometimes the cover letter that you use for European journal, European Society for something, will be sent to another thing, will be sent to another conference, or you will use another name entirely because you are not. You did not take your time to go through it. So if you yourself cannot take time to apply properly, already, how do you expect them to trust you with their resources to bring them you to their conference? So it's really, really important for you to be really, really meticulous about your application. That's why I said if you plan it very well, you are going to have a really nice experience applying. So endeavor that you read everything that they are asking you to provide, endeavor to provide. If something is not clear to you, they always have contact details of who you can reach out to for more information regarding your application. So always endeavor that you do this. And I think one of the reasons why many journalists do that is, one, they are very busy. Another thing, some apply for everything. Any opportunity that they see, any conference that they see, they apply for it. So they are using the same cover letter, the same CV, and the same kind of information for everybody. So you are not able to really personalize it or tailor your documentations for that particular opportunity, which is really, really extremely wrong. So I put it there that you don't have to go everywhere. So you may be choosy about where you go to, want to attend. So you don't have to go to every conference. Be intentional about the conferences, the events that you want to attend. And make sure that since you are not applying for everywhere, I think you have time to be able to function it. So what do you do when there are no travel grants? So when travel grants are not available, when sponsorship, which is really the case, is not available, the first thing that you ask yourself is, why do I even have to attend this conference? You have to take it from the perspective of, you have to be your worst critic, that do you really need to be there? So if in your own assessment, you decided that, yes, I just have to be here, I just have to be there. So the next thing you ask yourself is, are there virtual opportunities for you to cover this conference? Is virtual coverage an option? If it is, or if virtual participation is an option, then you figure out the logistics for virtual attendance. And if that is not the case, and if you still think, yeah, no, I really need to be in the room. So the next question you need to start asking yourself is, how can I afford to go to this conference on my own? I know for many journalists will consider it to be a serious taboo. But I've come to realize from my personal experience that sometimes those events where sponsorships are not available could actually be opening a whole new chapter for your career that would really transform you and take you to that next level in your career. So it's not that anything that you do, any conference or any event or any opportunity that you don't see sponsorship for, that you just close it like that. Don't just close it. Ask yourself, if I really want to attend, what are the logistics that I want to put in? So for me, I always think as a freelancer. And as a freelancer, many of the things that we ask ourselves are often in black and white. Everything has to be transactional. I have to ask myself, how much am I making from this? How can I recoup my investment? How much is this travel going to cost me as a journalist? And how am I going to maximize this profit? How am I going to recoup my investment? How am I going to get my money back? So what do you do if you're in that situation, especially for freelancers? One of the things that you do is before you attend, figure out the topical issues. Most of these conferences have the agenda on the website for months ahead of the conference. So when you know that the agenda is already well set and it has been online for months, something you can do now is that start structuring those sessions. What kinds of stories can you write from these sessions? And if you have editors that you're already working with, you can ask them, okay, I'd like to do the story for you from this conference. So if you're able to pitch it around and you've already gotten a number of commitments from your editors, and sometimes when you tell them that, okay, this is a conference, I'm going to be self-funding my participation in this conference, they may be able to still give you additional amounts to support your participation. So that was what actually I've been able to get that severally, so that I treat my stories as my product, and I market it to those that I think would be in the best position would like those stories and will be able to pay for it. So if your expense is like $400 or $500 to attend the conference, then if you're able to make that money if you're able to make like 700, 800 or double the amount that you are going to spend on that conference, then I think it makes a lot of business sense for you to go ahead. But like I said, before you can get to that level, it's something that you would have very good relationship with your editors, and you'll be somebody that you're already having editors that have come to trust you and you'll be working with over the years. And another tip that I think you should understand is that in many cases, you really, if you are from my own travel experience, if you can actually get really good travel deals, I'm talking about discounted flight fares, such that if you cannot say you are traveling tomorrow and you want to buy your tickets today, sometimes I buy my tickets months ahead so that I know that even though I'm not getting funded, I'm going to be able to get the least expensive flight that will still enable me to get to where I'm going to. So you have to be strategic regarding it. Like I said, it's a business for freelancers. Our stories are our products, and it's something that I think you should be able to get out of it. But for those that work in established media organizations for full-time journalists, sometimes you have to engage your editors too, because even though in many countries these opportunities are not available, sometimes you are able to still get some kinds of support. It may not be it may not be everything, but it may really go a long way in reducing the burden that you have. And what should be your motivation to take this route should be you asking yourself, what am I gaining from this, and whether what you stand to gain from that conference is more than the cost or what you're going to put aside. So that is a really good tip that that I have for you. Now, the next thing I think is important for you to do is, how do you hunt for conferences? How can you get information regarding conferences? Anthony, please use the Q&A function for your question. I see you are raising your hand. Use the Q&A tool for your question, and I'm going to get to them. So now the next thing I want you to do, show you now is how this is really, really done. And like I said, you can get information anywhere regarding what conference is happening, especially those that are in person. But like I divided them into two. If you are looking for information for journalism conferences, IJNet is a really good platform for you to get information regarding conferences. So what you sometimes do is this: IJNet has its opportunity subpage, ijnet.org/en/opportunities, and if you look at it, and this is actually graded based on topical issues. For instance, if the future of journalism conference is holding, I think this would be online. Okay, so this is an information about conference. And so by the time you comb this, you'll be able to actually get examples of forthcoming conferences. But sometimes you can just, I like the search tool on the websites a lot. Oh, it doesn't work here. So it actually came out. Yeah, it came out. So I think I saw it. I saw, yeah. Okay, so the opportunity page provides links to conferences. Then for journalism, it's also there. But I've also found this page to be really, really good for you to get. We have pages that have event calendar. So journalism.co.uk has really good event calendar, but it's really tailored towards journalism. So, for instance, in October, the News Impact Summit is happening in Prague, in Czech Republic. The WNI World News Media Conference is happening in Spain, and the African Media Summit is happening. So you can get information regarding these conferences. So what you just need to do is that the information, you just click and you just go straight to here. But one thing that I would tell you to do is this: don't really just be interested in writing down websites. The simple tool that I think is really, really important for you to be able to use is the simple use of Google, the Google search engine. So, for instance, if you just search for this conferences for journalists, if you search for it, it's going to bring you the directory of conferences that are happening in different parts of the world. For instance, in the UK, if you're interested in conferences in the UK for journalists, you can already see a list of them, and there are still more. So so you are never in short supply of information. But one of the things that I like about the Google Home is that you can actually choose the month or the period. For instance, if you're in the part of the world that for you to attend any conference, you will need like 2 months at least to process your visa. So you should be able to streamline it down using that kinds of tools. And so yeah, this is really the reason why I said you have to use these different tools we have. These are tailored made for journalists. Don't forget, these are tailored made for journalists. So if you don't want a journalism focused conference, instead you want something on, okay, let's say you are covering climate change. You can say climate change conference. So the next climate, we have, for instance, in October, like I said, Google is really simple to use. In October, there is the London Climate Technology Conference. So if this is of interest to you, you can easily just click it, and you start processing. The same rules that we've shared today applies for any conference that you are trying to attend. So it's all about, and many of these conferences, even those that are not for journalists, if you reach out and you say that you want to attend this conference as a journalist, while others are paying, I don't think you are going to easy. They are usually free press passes for journalists. Then if your own is a health conference, you are interested in health conferences 2022. So can you see? And let's say you want in the USA. So any part of the world that you want to go to, look at the events section. Now you can just you can use this tool to be able to easily adjust it to anywhere you are. So if it's in any part of the world that you want to go to, this is going to next month, let's say in June. So this is really going to give you a breakdown of the various kinds of events that are happening. And don't forget, there's internet. So you may now need to now start pruning it down in whichever part of the world that you have. And so that is it. So if you have any question, I can take, wow, the time has already been fast spent. So please, that's how much I can take now. So the internet is filled with information, and sometimes, like I said, you can get information anywhere or everywhere. And I've been able to get information about conferences via WhatsApp groups that I belong to. I've been able to get information about conferences even directly from the conference organizers that think it will be in the best interest of their issue for me to be aware of those conferences and to be able to attend. I've also been able to get information about conferences from newsletters, newsletter subscriptions that I have. I've also been able to get information about new conferences from Twitter and from social media, from Facebook, from any of these platforms. So if you need any additional information that you think I can provide with you or to you, if you need any of my slides, please you can mail me directly, and I will share with you directly. And so please don't hesitate to reach out. If you want to engage with me on Twitter, you DM. I can easily tag you in on any of these opportunities that I see. So please don't be. I really believe that COVID-19, the current state of COVID-19, has really been an eye-opener that we can actually attend events. So whether it's virtual or whether it's online, we are having access to lots of information, and with the world moving on, and coming to terms with the fact that COVID-19 is here longer than is going to be here for a long time, I think the best we can also do is to adjust to the new reality. So thank you for your time. And if you are not a member of our Facebook forum, I encourage you to be part of our Facebook group where we share resources. And so please endeavor to be part of us. I just shared the Facebook group link in the chat box, and please be part of us, and we are going to send information directly to you. And for you to also benefit more from the International Center for Journalists, you can get more information about this initiative through the ICFJ website on www.icfj.org. And for more resources, there are lots of topical issues include that will benefit you as a journalist. I encourage you to check out IJNet's resource page on ijnet.org. And so those are the kind of stuff that I have for you. I'm sorry that I really went where I hope you've been able to gain one or two information that will be helpful to you regarding this. But I think with those information, if you apply them diligently and if you're interested in attending conferences, it's going to be a really smooth experience. And I hope I'll be able to meet you on the sidelines of one of these conferences over the years. So thank you very much, everyone, for being part of our session today, and have a great day. Thank you.